bonsoir. Okay, that was bad. Fell encore. Allô, oui, bonsoir. I'm the Mademoiselle, and ça c'est deuxième channel. Welcome to another video story time. Now, as you guys can tell by today's story, we're going to be talking about, I have no idea what I'm going to name this story, right? But essentially, the gist of the story is... Actually, let's just save that for the end, right? So if you're watching this video and you think you're on my main channel or my personal channel, nope, this is my Haitian channel. I do have multiple channels. Everything you need is going to be linked down below. Right. So let me just say, right, when I do these stories, I hide the details OD. All right, I make sure that nobody knows exactly who I'm talking about because, again, safety, protection, privacy, all right? Also, it's one of those things where I really do not want any of you guys to replicate any of the things that I'm talking about because this is some very serious shit. It doesn't really make sense to me when I see people like trying to dibble and dabble and shit, and then they're confused and they come to me like, oh my God, I did this even though you said not to. Like, enjoy the story. Take it as a precautionary, okay? All right, so let's get into it. So if you guys are not aware and this is your first time seeing me, just a quick little preface. I grew up in a Haitian neighborhood, predominantly Haitian people, Hispanic people, a little bit of Black people here and there, which means, unfortunately, there was a lot of spiritual activity from voodoo, Santeria, all that shit. So I have stories for days, but there's some times where I choose to tell certain stories at certain times and I choose to not do certain things. Y'all get the gist, right? And unfortunately, with living in a place like that, you'll see some people succumb to some serious black magic that just can't be undone, right? So we're going to be talking about this dude. We're going to call him, oh, we need a good name. Okay, George. We're going to call him George. Right, so George was one of those crackheads in the neighborhood, right? If you ever lived in the hood, you already know we have the neighborhood crackheads, especially here in Jersey. They're probably one of the best parts of living in the hood, okay? Now, a lot of you guys who are not from the hood and don't understand are probably looking at me like, Yvana, really? You like the crackheads? Absolutely, because most of the time when it comes to being a drug addict or a crackhead per se, it's not always their fault. It's not necessarily that they want to do drugs or they want to be negligent or they want to live on the street and be homeless and all of that. A lot of the times these people are a victim of pure circumstance and they're extremely helpful. If you have groceries, they're going to help you. If you need help, they're going to help you. And you probably only got to pay them like $1 or whatever. You feel me? Like, I've always been appreciative of the crackheads because anytime like I couldn't lift something or I needed help putting in groceries for my parents or whatever, they were always there to help and they were always like super kind to me no matter what. Like anytime like niggas was bothering me in the street, you know, they'd come to my rescue, you know, throw the little crackhead moves. Like again, if you're not from the hood, you probably don't understand. You're probably just looking at me like, bitch, are you really serious? I'm dead fucking serious, okay? The neighborhood crackheads, a lot of the times, like, let's be real. Like, although you could sit there and be like, oh, well, if you're an addict, it's your fault. No, a lot of times some people are just experimenting and they fall into some deep, dark shit and they don't have the support system to get them out of it. Even many people with a support system don't use that support system to get out of it. Addiction is real. Whether we're talking about drug addiction, food addiction, alcohol addiction, like, it's a very real thing. So when it came to George, right, George was one of those crackheads I could never understand. And I'm not even saying that because, like, he was a crackhead. Well, also because I didn't know that he actually wasn't a crackhead until maybe I got to college, right? So I always classified all of them as the same. I was like, all right, you on the street, you look like you on some sort of substance, crackhead. That's how most of us, like, identify them, right? But George was different. He's an alcoholic, right? Still an addiction, but not quite a crackhead. And the thing is with dealing with people who are drug addicts and stuff like that, you'll notice there are some periods where they are completely sane, they're completely sober because obviously they're not under the substance, right? And then there's times where they're completely out of their fucking minds. When it came to George, George was the only crackhead. Okay, we're just going to keep using that term because I can't say alcohol head. It doesn't sound... You know what I mean, right? He was the only one in that group, okay, that was in the neighborhood that I felt like was never normal. Okay, like he was always in a haze. He was never quite coherent. Even when I could tell he was not on a substance, it's like he was not even on this plane. And I never thought anything of it because again, I'm just thinking, oh, okay, you know, he does drugs, blah, blah, blah. Maybe he's coming down from it. So it wasn't until one time, okay, George done pissed me the fuck off, right? So although crackheads could be extremely helpful and a lot of them are really nice and they're not bad people, they just have an addiction. Some of them are malicious. Some of them are rude as fuck. And some of them are just annoying. All right. So George just one day had like cussed me out because I didn't want to give him $1. That's literally what it was. Like, he asked me for $1. I said, no, I didn't have it. He said, oh, you're lying. Da da da. Cussed me out. And that shit pissed me off. And I came home. I was in a bad mood. My parents was like, oh, Salgina, like, what's wrong with you? And I said, yo, George fucking cussed me out or whatever. Like, I don't like that shit. Like, I'm fucking tired of these crackheads. Y'all know I love the crackheads. I just told y'all I love the crackheads. But, you know, that's what I said. You know, we say things when we're angry. And at this time, I was young. I was probably like 18 or something. So my parents was like, come on, George, yeah, you know how he is or whatever. Like, you know, you can't be mad at him. That's how he is. Like, you know, and then you got my mom chiming in. So my dad said that, but then my mom chimed in. My mom was like, c'est dommage pour ça yo fait George, vous connaissez? And I'm like, what do you mean? What did they do to George? Basically, she was like, oh, man, it sucks what they did to George, man. It really does. And I'm like, what did they do to George? And she's like, oh, petit, ou connaît? George pas toujours comme ça. You know, George was not always like that. And I'm like, I would hope. I mean, at one point he was a child, and then after being a child, he became a teen, and after becoming a teen, he became an adult, and he became a crackhead. Like, yo, I ain't gonna hold you. Back in the day, I was so ignorant. Like, I was so ignorant, and I was so, like, I don't give a fuck, very matter of fact. So I was like, I mean, of course he wasn't always a crackhead. Like, niggas not born, let me watch my words. Some babies are actually born addicted if you are born from an addicted, like, parent. However, for those of you guys watching this who are Haitian, you will understand, especially when it comes to crack, heroin, and most substances, you're not going to find Haitians doing that. Not saying there's no Haitians that do it, but most of the time, like, Haitians don't, like, indulge in those types of substances, but you'll find a lot of alcoholic Haitians, right? So that's when I found out. Like, my mom was like, oh, no, like, he's not a crackhead. Like, he's an alcoholic. And I was like, oh, well, that's unfortunate. I ain't know, whatever. Crackhead is a crackhead to me. And she's like, no, like, they made him that way. Like, he's actually, like, he's not necessarily, like, addicted, like the traditional addicted, like, ayo, même qui fait le comme ça. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, they made, like, my mom is just like, what do you mean? Like, my mom's like, girl, you know what I mean? Like, you know, they made him that way. And I'm like, tell me more. So she's like, basically, George was very smart, top of his class, came here from Haiti when he was young, and he had like the highest GPA. He was doing super, super well. However, his other family that came here with him did not like that. So from what I understand, George had maybe 2 or 3 siblings that also came from Haiti, but they all came at different times. And then he had extended family that had just came from Haiti as well. Now, similar to the story that I told, I don't remember the story or the name of the story, but basically I told you guys a story about how when I was homeless, my mom stayed with a family, and like the family was beefing with each other because one of the kids was way smarter than the other kids that came from Haiti with them. I don't remember. Oh, okay. I think it was the story time about, there you go. The mom tried to kill him over tax money. That story. Very similar to this situation. He had family that was not happy that he was doing well. Okay. When I'm telling you this boy was so smart, it was to the point where like he was getting full ride scholarships, right? Like literally from the time he was a kid to the time that he was a teen, he was excelling in every area. He played sports. He was really, really good in school. He had a good temperament as a child. He was raised really well. So unfortunately, a lot of his family became jealous. It wasn't until he got the opportunity to go to college. So I guess he had to be around 17, 18 at the time. He had everything prepared. He was going to go away. I don't believe he was going to stay in the state. I believe he was going to go away. That unfortunately everything changed. From the way I've been told the story, because I've been told the story from a few different people, about 3 different people. So from what I can gather, he had a specific cousin that was not happy that he was getting all these things. He could not get into college because his grades was trash, and he was a little badass. He was rude to teachers. He was mean to people. He just was not a great person. But that didn't occur to him that that's why he wasn't getting good things in life. He just thought, oh, well, George don't deserve it because I've been here longer. So this cousin, we don't really, you know what? Let's just give him a name. We're going to call him Lawrence. Okay. So Lawrence essentially didn't really, like, he was one of those kids that was just real disrespectful, real defiant, not smart by any means. And he didn't like the fact that George got all the attention and all the praise in the family. Although most of the other people were jealous too, the only people that were really jealous enough to do something were, I mean, Lawrence. Well, Lawrence's family per se. And Lawrence had came from Haiti like years earlier than George. And they were the same exact age. They went to the same exact school. However, unfortunately, he was not excelling at the same rate. So the thing is with Haitian people, okay, especially all the Haitians, not even all the foreigners watching this video, y'all know exactly what I'm about to say. Haitian parents, foreign parents, y'all need to stop this shit, okay? And take this as a cautionary tale. Stop bragging about your kids to other people. Because if somebody catches wind of it and they're a malfecte and they are jealous that their kid is not doing as well as yours, they're going to throw something on them. This is not the first story that I have like this. I'll probably tell them over time. But there's people out there that are that ruthless to do something to a kid specifically because they're jealous of that kid. They're jealous of you and how you raise that kid. And they are most importantly jealous of that child's success. And unfortunately, that's what happened to George. George was going to go to college. He was going to have a way better life ahead of him. And Lawrence, even though he wasn't that great, understood that like he was going to get left behind. And it's interesting because obviously you could have just studied harder, became a better person, got your shit together and, you know, got the scholarships and shit just like George. But he didn't see it that way. He just kept bitching and crying and complaining to his mom. And it's interesting because I believe his mom had the same sentiments like, yeah, you know, George's mom think that he all that. And he not even all that. Like he this, he that. Just trying to nitpick at the kid. And unfortunately, George never ended up going to college because out of nowhere, George lost his fucking mind. As I'm telling this story, I know there's probably a lot of you guys thinking, oh my God, evil eye. Yes, actually, evil eye is a form of black magic, and it is something that is often thrown at people subconsciously, sometimes intently, and it could really fuck your life up. But no, these people, they went the extra mile. He ended up running away from home for days, weeks, months on end. Nobody would see him. And then eventually he ended up just like on the street and like drinking a lot of alcohol. So that's why people think he's an alcoholic. I just thought he was a crackhead. But that's why people think he's an alcoholic, and it's not necessarily his fault. Like literally, when I'm telling y'all, like it was like a night and day type switch. Like literally, he went from being a scholar, being a school, like about to go to college, to flat out losing his mind, disappearing. Nobody knows what happened, and he refused to come back home. And it was to the point where like he physically couldn't. It was like every single time he tried to like go back to the house or try to reconnect with a family member, shit would just go really bad for him. Like he would like fall out and pass out and end up in the hospital. He would end up having like some sort of combative like physical fight with someone in the family. He would end up like just doing things that obviously would push him further away from his family. Now, a lot of you guys are probably like, well, maybe he just fell into addiction. If y'all know anybody that's alcohol addicted, especially, that doesn't happen overnight. It's something that happens gradually. Okay, it doesn't happen just like that. Okay, people don't just wake up and run away for days, weeks, months, and then just become addicted to alcohol, like and can't come home. Like So keep in mind, I heard the story when I was about like 18, 19, and crazy enough, one of my close friends growing up was actually related to George. So that's how I was able to follow up with the story and get different versions of the story. So when all this was happening, I was probably like a baby because that man is probably twice my age at this point. So from what I understand and from what I remember, I forgot to put this into the video. They said that like he disappeared like off the face of the earth. Like I'm talking about like they had missing persons reports, all types of shit. Nobody could find him. And then he just showed up and he was addicted to alcohol and he was just doing all types of crazy shit. And I don't know what these people did. It sounds like they did some sort of like insane separation type spell because like he was never able to go back home. Every single time he ended up being in contact with somebody that was in his family or a friend or someone that he knew from, I guess, his past life before he even got like that, before they did whatever spell, whatever black magic they did, he was not able to physically be near them. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just like he would get violently ill or he would become violent or he just wouldn't be able to be near them. And I felt so bad hearing this story because from what I understand, like his parents did everything to try to get him to come back home, to try to talk to him, to try to communicate with him. And it wasn't until later that they really found out that these niggas put some black magic on this man. Okay, at that point, everybody in the neighborhood started to find out, like, yeah, like, damn, like, George is gone. Like, George out here doing this, that, and the third. Like, damn, they done fucked with him. Like, who did that? Now, at this point, I believe the family didn't really understand what was going on. They kind of just thought, oh, one thing about Haitians love saying, oh, when you bring a kid here or if you birth a child here, they're going to succumb to the American ways and they're going to be wicked and they're going to be bad and they're not going to care about school and they're going to fall into friends that are going to destroy their life. Unfortunately, that does happen. I ain't going to hold you. It does happen a lot, but this was not that. Okay, this was not that at all. When I'm telling you, like, that man did a complete 180, he was a completely different person. So his family, okay, his immediate family went to Inogo, and they're like, yo, what the fuck is going on with George? And they was like, well, you're not gonna like it, but your sister. So they were talking to the mom. They're like, yeah, your sister did something to your son, her own nephew. And he's a little bit too far gone at this point. But if you bring him here, maybe I can see what I can do. Unfortunately, he could never get close to the family. What did I just tell y'all? Like, homeboy was out here fighting. Like, it was weird. It was like every single time he would see them, it would be something. Like, it was like he could not get close enough to them to get whatever it was off. So, unfortunately, years down the line, I swear to y'all, like, I've seen this dude. Well, I'm not gonna hold you. I haven't seen him in a while. I haven't seen him since before COVID. I really hope he's still alive. He's still roaming the streets, drinking, but not really. Just in a daze, in a haze, not himself, and it hurts seeing it because it's like, I remember like the stories I've been told, and it's like, wow, this nigga was supposed to go to college, he was supposed to be something, he's supposed to get out the hood, and now he's roaming the streets, begging for money, being irate, doing, you know, shit that is against his destiny. And it just goes to show some people are really ain't shit people. Some people are malfected. And I've said numerous times on this channel, like some people, unfortunately, they use their power for bad. Okay. They'll curse people with the Bible. They'll use black magic to get what they want. They'll do nefarious deeds in order to fuck other people over. And that's why I be telling y'all, be careful. Don't be doing no spells on nobody. Eventually it's gonna backfire. And you guys are probably like, okay, what happened to that family? Well, homeboy ended up dying. Okay, Lawrence ended up passing away. I don't know how. But let's be real, the man was a fucking heathen. So there's that. But he didn't pass away. No, he passed away pretty young, like somewhere in his 20s. The family, I have no idea. I don't know. I heard they moved away, like Florida type vibe. So I will say that it is a sad circumstance. And every time I see him, I want to help him. But it's like, I know I'm be wasting my time because whatever's on him is so fucking strong. And apparently, from what I understand, there's numerous like zombies and shit like that on him. So getting whatever it is off of him is going to be extremely difficult, damn near impossible. Especially since now it's been decades. Okay, it's been at least like a solid, like George has to be in his like late 40s at this point. This happened when he was like 17, 18. So it is deeply unfortunate. And there's times where I include him in my prayers because I'm just like, people that are victims of unfortunate circumstances like that, like it's sad to see because the man is literally incoherent. It's to the point like the man doesn't even talk. Like it's that bad. I've never heard George speak a full sentence. Like by me saying like I never heard him speak a full sentence, I'm talking about like he grunts like when he talks. Like he'll be like, dollar, give me dollar. Like he talks like that, like $1, like give me dollar. And then he'll curse you out like, fuck you, man. Like, that's how he talks. Like, he speaks in fragments. He does not speak full sentences. That's why, like, when I first heard the story, I was shook. Because I'm like, this nigga was smart. This nigga was going to college. This nigga was like, how the fuck? He ended up like that. Like, that terrifying shit. That's how bad this shit is on him. So, moral of the story, don't brag. Don't brag. Be humble. Sit down. All right? So, yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Keep the description box for everything you guys always ask me about down below. With that being said, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. And I'm going to see y'all next time.